Hi everyone, to today's webinar hosted by IBsolution. It's already it's 3 o'clock in my time. I believe it's 2 o'clock at your time, so I believe we can start. We have already 9 attendees, so the late one could join just later. So welcome everyone again. Today's webinar topic is SAP HANA Cloud Platform Mobile Services. For whom is this webinar? It's more or less for application and mobile application developers, also consultants, but also administrators. So, but it doesn't matter if you are not on that position, you still learn something from this webinar for sure. So don't leave now. In this webinar, we will learn to use the features of the HANA Cloud Platform Mobile Services, or the HCPMS for short. I will shortly try to demonstrate how to develop mobile application within the web IDE and connect to HANA Cloud Platform Mobile Services, of course. And then we will run the application on the device. Of course, I'm not sure if you are familiar with that. When you view this webinar, you are also assigned for a Erfolgszertifikat. So you can take the multiple choice test, just takes a few minutes and get a certificate for this webinar. I'll provide a link at the end of this presentation where you can find the questions. So the agenda for today's webinar is a short introduction into the mobile topic itself, also the enterprise mobility and what are the key challenges for the enterprise trying to mobilize their business. Then we will explain what HCPMS is, and also I will point out some of the main features, of course. And at the end, you will see a live demo on the system, where I also show not only how to develop an application within the web IDE, but also how to enable push notifications. Okay, and that's me. My name is Georgi Nushev, if you don't know. I'm senior consultant in IBsolution. I'm based in Bulgaria. Already 2 years in that company. Before that, I worked for SAP. Now I'm currently mainly focused on SAP UI5 library, user interfaces, actually everything what Fiori has to do with it. Even Fiori Launchpad, doesn't matter running on portal or on gateway, or now the new one running on the cloud. Yes, and of course the mobile platform and the mobile applications are also my focus. So, and because I don't want you to fall asleep in this afternoon, I have also some questions on you, so I need to answer them just for me to know what people are sitting here in this webinar, and just to know how deep should I go into it, and what should I explain. So please answer the 3 questions. I'll start them one by one, so you can start answering the first one. I hope you see the question now. And it is, what is your position, your company, if you are a developer, consultant, sales, project manager, or something else? Okay, let's leave another second, 2, 3, 5 seconds. Oh, it's such a great thing to see the results here. Okay, it's actually pretty equal. developers, Geschulungsvorschläge, and other people. Okay, so I'll close this one, and I'll start the next one. Have you ever developed a mobile application? Okay. All right. Okay, it's like half of you developed one application, and half of you never developed a mobile application. So I'll close also this one, and I'll populate the last one. Is your company planning to use a mobile platform? No matter if it's the SMP or HANA Cloud Platform mobile services in the cloud? Okay. Okay, thank you very much for the answers. So going now into the first point of our agenda. Actually, the mobile topic as a whole is a really huge one. So even if we restrict to the SAP's world only, mobile world, I mean, we will probably need a day to just to mention every details and every components. So of course we will not be able to cover everything, but I'll just try to populate the most important and how to say the most modern things into the mobile happening at the moment. Okay, so the world of the mobile, it's really huge, and it's like doubling up every year. Also now I believe I have like 2 smartphones, a tablet, and I'm sure you also have at least 2 devices next to you. So everyone is using mobile devices, and they are really like doubling up every year. But that's probably happening because of the mobile internet, because if we don't have an internet on our mobile device, we will probably not use them so often. And there are really huge transactions of data going on to the device. So just imagine if every mobile device user types something in Google, it's really how much data is going on over the world for a single day. So in the business recognize this opportunity. They see a lot of people start using phones, smartphones, internet applications, and they recognize the value of it, and they try to optimize the employee performance within the use of mobile devices. By that, of course, they are targeting to grow the business, but also to improve the efficiency, and for that they don't need to teach the users and to train them how to use a smartphone, how to use this application, because even my grandma probably knows how to do it today. So they are really focusing on that and trying to achieve as most as they can. But of course, they also see a lot of challenges, and one of the main challenges is security, and how should I secure my business data, and how should I support so much different devices? How should I keep up with the innovation of the mobile devices and software? We have so much different softwares which are updated every year. We have different device types. We have different softwares for the device types, and really a lot of varieties. So how do I manage all of that? How do I manage applications, devices, and I want to make sure my data is staying secure. And this architecture picture is like from the SAP world, but like it doesn't matter what it's on the bottom. The question is how do I do that? How do I provide my data into the application in a secure way? How could I expose the data for the outer world? Well, the first option here is for a SAP world, of course. We are now only into the SAP world. The first option here will be to use this scenario. It's really good one for a simple online applications. Expose your data with SAP Gateway to a reverse proxy to your applications. It works. A lot of customers already did that, but I would say it is good for if you have like 3 applications, or like if you don't expand it too much to all your employees, or if you don't want really to manage the applications, the connections to it, and the data. Because it has some limitations of the security. There is not really logging and tracing of the mobile application, so it may run on your local system, but when you deploy the applications, often happens that the application doesn't work anymore. So you need to have some logs and to see what's going on. And you don't have also a third-party integration. So the thing to, and now we come to the SAP HANA Cloud Platform, and this is what it actually does for us. It covers this whole here, and you can expose, of course, the data service, not only through Gateway. The Gateway is the recommendation of SAP, but you can also use any other data service provider. And this is this architecture picture is when you can use your on-premise data through a HANA Cloud Connector, which is a tool that you install on your on-premise system, and it helps you to connect on-premise and cloud system. What it gives you, the HANA Cloud Platform Mobile Services, gives you some of the features. It gives you analytics. You are able to log and trace. You can do push notifications. You can do offline data. You can do a lifecycle management within the application, and there is a secure onboarding of the users. And currently, the HANA Cloud Platform Mobile Services supports hybrid, native, and web application, and even Fiori application. They are web applications. So also, as you see, it supports that you can get the data from the on-premise system, but you can also get the data if it's staying in some cloud system, or you can also do both of them. You can combine them and get the data whatever you want. Okay, simply the HANA Cloud Platform Mobile Service is the cloud version of the SAP mobile platform für all. It's a part of the HANA Cloud platform, the platform as a service. And you just can go to the HANA Cloud platform, enable that, and feel free to use it. There is also a free trial available. So if you are interested in that, you can go and register for that. The HCPMS is using the same HTTP and all data functionality as its on-premise version, and that means like 70 or 80% of the code is the same, and I believe in the future it will be increased like 90%. So actually migrating applications from the on-premise to the cloud version or the other way around is actually pretty easy. Both of the platforms supports the same SDK, and this is on the next slide. Currently, the SAP HANA Cloud Platform Mobile Services does not support an agent tree applications, and also does not support the SMS building tool, which is for building SMS applications. But it does support a hybrid capsule development on which we will focus today in this webinar, and also native application. And you can also get the third-party SDK, or you can develop other applications with whatever you want. But they do share the same SDK, so the one who are already familiar with the on-premise version can easily go and develop and use the mobile platform in the cloud. So what is capsule is like this one which you saw, it's like in the middle, what we saw, and on what we are going to focus. Capsule is a set of plugins built on top of Apache Cordova. So, because I saw in the questions, half of you have never done mobile development till now. Apache Cordova is an external library which gets your web application and packs it in a container, so you can deploy it and run it on your mobile device. And not only that, it provides you with some plugins so that you can access the calendar, you can access the camera, the contacts, and everything with what is specific for the device, for specific feature for the device, what the browsers actually does not have. And Capsule is based on Apache Cordova, and it provides you plugins which are connected to the features of the HANA Cloud Platform mobile services. Like, for example, you can do push notifications with the Capsule plugin. You can log on, application update, encryption storage. You can use encryption storage, and so on and so on. Let me see. I believe I've opened that. So here, I hope you see that here are listed all of the currently Capsule plugins, and it's for SP0, but I think this post is now updated for the SP10, which is the last version. And here you can also check for Android for the Apache Cordova plugins. It's like a push. We have pretty much everything what you can do with a smartphone. You can, if you are interested, you can go and check them. You can use keyboard, app update, social sharing, and so on. So let's not lose any more time. Okay. All right. So the features as I said, the one of you who are familiar already with on-premise version, there's pretty much not really much different here. The user, that's the cockpit, the administration cockpit of the platform. It's Fiori UX based, so it's written in a responsive way. From here you can add applications, delete, remove. You can see the reporting, the logs, the connections, the user and registrations from the applications. But I will show you that in the live demo in a short. So the first feature of the HANA Cloud Platform or services I want to talk about is the application authentication methods. So in HCPMS we have different authorization options to verify and validate the identity of the application. Users can see them: basic, form, none, certificate, or auth. When you run an application and it's started for the first time, the first thing your application, and actually not only for the first time, it's when the application is started, the first thing which an application does is to is connecting to HCPMS and trying to authenticate against the chosen method here. Important to mention is that HCPMS uses the same identity provider configuration, which is using also from the HANA Cloud Platform. So it connects to this identity provider, no matter what it is, and authenticate and registers the user against the HCPMS. After registering with the platform, an application connection ID is sent back to the application. Well, this application connection ID is used by the HCPMS to allow the application to connect to the backend. So if there is no such ID provided from the application, also no access will be allowed to the backend data. So if you choose the non-application method, authentication method, sorry, the backend will not require any credentials, and there is a direct access to the relevant service if it's on-premise or cloud. If you choose the basic one, it's the user should enter his credentials, a username and password. The form uses the SAML 2.0, which is also provided by the HANA Cloud Platform itself, and by default uses SAP ID service to authenticate users against SAP user accounts and even SCN accounts. Each subscriber can also customize the identity provider configuration with their own SAML 2.0 provider within the HANA Cloud Platform cockpit. Okay, the certificate, then you should prepare a client certificate and have it signed by the HCPMS certification authority, and it should be also trusted by the backend systems. The last one, it's application to application, so or auth is an open protocol that allows secure authorization of applications using a simple and standard method. So currently, it can be used for hybrid applications only, and only when the HANA Cloud Platform is used as an authorization server. This protocol can be used also to authenticate users based on granting access without sharing the credentials explicitly. So if you have already signed up or entered your credentials somewhere, you don't need to they are not shared explicitly. It just uses access token as a credentials. The next one I want to talk about, the next feature I want to talk about is the usage analytics. Okay, when a application request goes through the HANA Cloud Platform services, it captures some information about this request, like the device operating system, user sessions, and even also some performance data, like how much time the request spent on the backend, which actually could help us, for example, to fixing some performance issue or just for troubleshooting. So possible reports are, for example, by registrations, by device type, by users, by requests, or by response time, and I will show that later in the live demo. Logging and tracing. HCPMS enables the developers and the administrators of the platform to see logs and traces and to investigate the application issues. Well, all logs use, they have the same common format and are stored in the server database. The administrators and the developers, or whoever who is using the platform, could control the amount of information captured by setting log labels for different logging components. Like you can enable that for the connectivity if you are suspecting some issue there, or for the offline mode, or for the push notifications, for the security, for administration, and so on. Because if you enable all of them for all applications, this might just make your performance really bad. So you don't want that. Just when you suspect some issues at some component, you are able to set the log level there and to analyze the issue. The application tracing feature captures additional business data for a request, which you can use also to troubleshoot application problems. The business data, which is captured in those application traces, is determined by the application developer. And as I said, it's just as needed. They should be enabled only if we do really need them. Okay, offline data. So there are a lot of use cases requiring the use of offline data. For example, field workers, they work on some places where there might be some less or no internet connection, or if you just want to improve the performance of an application, instead of sending the data requests each time, you can just use a delta update, for example. So it's really a nice feature, and I would also do recommend that only if you do really need an offline mode. Because now keep in mind, it's not like the logging functionality. For example, you just enable or disable it. You need to make some configurations, and not only on your HANA Cloud Platform services, but also on the data service itself. Okay, what the first thing an application does is to connect, of course, to the HCPMS and retrieves the data source from the backend. And from that data, it creates an initial database on the client side. So on an ongoing basis, the HCPMS updates the client base based on changes or deltas. Deltas are timestamp based. but it can be decided by the developer. Deltas between the backend data and the client data are identified. It could be identified by the HCPMS or by the backend itself. Okay, when an application is in an offline mode, it accesses the data from that application store. Any updates that are made while the client is offline are located locally here on the HCPMS, and they become like pending updates for the backend. When this client goes back online, HCPMS updates the backend by processing the pending updates. Also, when the client has made some changes on the data while being offline, he can also do that, and if there are any conflicts, they will be detected from the HCPMS, and the user will be notified. Now, how the application will resolve, it's really a work of the developer to say, okay, revert them or just push them, so it doesn't matter the conflict. So you can update, you can refresh the data, you can do delta updates, and we can also handle the conflict. So lifecycle management, when a certain application is deployed on a device, then we can update the content of this application. Of course, it should be a hybrid application, and we can update the content, what content, and we can push that to the device. So the user gets notified. Gets notified there is an update, okay, and he goes and updates his application. But he can also just say, like, okay, update. He doesn't need to go back to the application stores, like Apple Store and so on, and to update from there. The update is stored on the HCPMS server. The new version of the application is stored there. Okay, what discovery service is? This is something which, for example, could be uploaded to application. There might be some configurations there, or even colors, logos, or anything else. It's like client resources for a certain application. These resources contains some dynamic configuration. They could also contain styles or any content from the HCPMS also. So the administrator can modify the client resource bundle from the HCPMS itself, and could upload it to the application. All right, so coming to probably the most interesting part, at least for me, it's the push notifications feature. What I do really believe is that this is one of the features what gives the most added value for a mobile application itself, just to be notified when something happens, some event occurs on the backend. This is really something valuable, and from what feature the business could really benefit from. So HCPMS supports the push notifications for Apple, for Google, or Android, for Windows, for BlackBerry, and I also believe there was one more. I'm not sure now. So it just connects to for push providers services of each software, like the APNS for Apple. It's like that's the Google Cloud messaging for Google. That's a Windows notification service, and this one is for BlackBerry. I'm not sure what it means. So the HCPMS handles the push notifications by providing us REST APIs for them. So if you want to push a notification from your backend system, you need to know who needs to see this application. So you are able to push the notification to all devices registered to a certain application. You can also push it to only of users of an application, to a list of users, to a single user, to only to a certain device by getting its registration ID, or to a list of devices. So just when something happens on the back end where you want to see, okay, for example, the process goes to approval step, you want to push notifications to the owner of that device that he has an approval waiting for him. And you can use that REST API to do that. And let's hope you have time to see that also in the demo. So what actually happens first, when the device is ready, we launch the application and it registers with the HCPMS. Then from the device itself registers to the push provider service, because we need to get a notification token from the push provider. This notifications token is then stored within the HCPMS. So the HCPMS knows this token is for this application and for this device by getting it application connection ID and pairing it with the application. So when we want to trigger a notification, the HCPMS does not push it directly to the device. It pushes to the push provider service, which then push the notification directly to the device. And okay, let's go faster so we can do the demo. Something to mention on the roadmap. Okay, coming back from the Barcelona TechEd 2 weeks ago, it was really valuable TechEd, and a couple of announcements were made there. So the HCPMS will integrate also with the rest of the HCPMS services, like the integration for integrating third-party backend systems. You can use whatever you want with the HCPMS. It will also support the B2C applications and also Fiori Mobile. This is something will be released probably Q1 next year. It's more for the administration of the administrations of the applications. It gives you the administrator the power to take one Fiori web application and to make it to a mobile application and to administrate it after. So coming to the demo, okay, I'm going to my web mobile services cockpit so I can show you what is really there. So this is my cockpit. Here I can see application, registration, connection, and I'll go simply to each of them. Here are the applications. You can see on the left side, it's the Fiori style, Fiori polling. So you can see your applications here. You can see some information about the application, like that push notifications is enabled. It's only for Android now. When it's created, application URL, and so on. We can also see the registrations. like the registration ID, which we spoke about just in the last slides. For more device type, also the username. But you will see a username only if you don't use the none as an authentication method, because if you use none, the application does not require the user to identify himself, so it will probably stay blank. And you can also see some reports here for the application itself. You can see here number of registrations on those days. Something more interesting to show is probably the response time. Here you can see even the authentication response time, backend response time, HTTPS server response time. You can see by users, it's only new now. By device type also, it's only Android, and by request also. Okay, I'm going back to the home screen. And this is something which I have just shown for a single application. Here you can see that for all of them, picking by day. Let's see that one. You can see all the username here. I have an application with a non-authentication method, so I didn't require a username and password, so it's empty. And here I can see my username, registration ID, and so on. Okay. I can also see connections, but this is something like an overview for all applications. For a single application, you can see that from the application tab itself. You can also go and configure that. Let me just quickly show that. It's a little bit slow today. Okay, you can pick your application and edit it. So you can change the backend service, if it's on-premise or on the internet, authentication type, and maximum connections, and so on. Okay. Let me now show you the reporting tool, the usage analytics. This is something I've shown you also for the application itself. Here you can see that for both applications, here you can see this one is the test application, this webinar application, by requests, by response time, and so on. You can also download them to a CSV file. Okay, you can also see the logs here. I don't think there are some logs, but you can see that how we can set up the logs. There are no logs currently here. There are log settings, and here you can set the log level. What we already spoke about here, I set the log level for push notifications to debug. And I have also enabled the trace for the push notifications. You can also do that by day and time. Okay, I'm just rushing through it because I still need some time to show you how to develop an application to make some push notifications. And this is a new feature here, came up last month, I believe. You are also able to make some restrictions on the applications. You can restrict to this application for push or for geolocations. You can restrict the camera plugin and so on. You can also add some more. Okay, so in order to add a new application to the mobile services, you need to go to applications. You just click the plus sign here on the bottom, and you just type something like www. You specify a name, www application. You can choose a type. As I said earlier, it supports native, hybrid, and web application, and this one is hybrid. There are some free text here. Also, a new feature that we are now able to enable or disable the same origin policy here. And for security configuration, we choose the basic. If you remember, it's just like prompting us to authenticate ourselves. So we can save that. You can see here the red flag is that it hasn't been configured yet. You can go here and configure your applications. Giving application ID is already given. It's like a unique name for your application. Version. Okay, then we go. That's pretty much the first window we saw. On the backend tab, you can define your backend URL or the backend this application is going to read from the OData. It could be on premise or on the internet, depending on it. You can choose that. You can choose authentication type. We spoke about maximum connections. By default is 500, I believe, but you can type even more if you need to. Here you can also add some additional backend connections. Okay, yes, client policies. You can set some client policies here, enable password policy, and so on. Here you can define your push notifications. Here for the different type of devices. If you're doing that for Android, you need to go to the developer console from Google and to enable the cloud services, messenger service, I believe it's called. It will provide you an API key and a sender ID, which you need to fill in here, and also when developing the application, you need the sender ID. And so on. Here you can update, you can put some here client resources, and we spoke about you can update them later. And if you click save, you can also do some other configuration setting here. You can click save and the application will be saved. For this webinar, I've prepared these applications. Okay, how to develop an application within the HANA Cloud Platform mobile services through the web IDE. Well, for that, a special toolkit is used. It's called HAT. It's Hybrid Application Toolkit. To install that, it's really a pain. It's like you need to spend a day installing because it requires so much other things like Node.js, Android SDK if you're developing for Android, and really a lot of things which you need to set up. And although I have most of them already installed on my machine, it took me more than half a day to set up everything and configure it. But what actually HAT does is it takes Web IDE Fiori application and puts it like in a container. And I'll simply show you how to do that. We just want to go to the Web IDE. It's the cloud development cloud IDE. It's the cloud editor in the HANA Cloud Platform. So we just simply go for the mobile application. We need to pick one of these three templates. For our purpose, we pick the master detail capsule application. It must be a capsule one. So we click on next. So we define some name here. We choose some OData service which we already defined in the HANA Cloud Platform destinations, and we're copying that one here so we can see like what this OData gives us. We choose that one, we pick the next. Anyway, here we are simply creating our applications based on the OData we have selected. You see the OData can see what connections it has, and you just simply pick, for example, customers, and set some values here and there. Let me just go and see my to show you the application I have created now for this webinar. Here it is. So enabling head, you need to, each time to go to your head folder and to run that so that it's running, and it is secured by password. Okay, now it's listening to the port you have selected. You can also change this port if you want. Go to the tools, preferences, and you can see the hybrid application toolkit, so we can test the connection and if it's connected. So regarding the hybrid toolkit, application toolkit, in the future it will be available also as a cloud version. So this pain installation thing will not be necessary anymore. So it will be much easier to develop applications. Okay, also we can go to the project settings, device configuration, and we can also here configure the application of name. It should be like the same name we have used for this one, and this is your app ID. This will be the same name we have used also in the HANA Cloud Platform mobile services. You can select some build options here, and the device platform or the application we run on. In our case, it's Android. Here you can also select the Cordova plugins you need to. If you need to use the contacts or the file transfer, camera, and so on. And you can also select the capsule plugins you use, like a logon manager and for the push notification, and also the push notification. If you don't select the logon manager, yes, you are not able to use push notifications. Okay, there are a lot of tutorials online, so you can go and check them. How we do the push notifications, we type the code in the development logon.js, which registers for the push notifications. It goes and registers for, in our case, in the Cloud Messenger, Google Cloud Messenger. Here we provide our sender ID we already created, and it provides a process notification. Here we can actually call the process notification method, and if there is a notification, it throws an alert, for example, on our application. It's in our case, but the developer could decide what to do with this notification. If it's going to write something somewhere, or a pop-up like in our case. Okay, there are also some other methods here. Okay, for example, check for notification is also important in case some missed notifications was there. It will pop it up whenever the application is resumed. Also here in the dev app.js, we also add the event listener, which calls that check for notification method on when the application is resumed. Important thing also is that in our master controller, it's the first thing when it's called actually, on the onInit function, we register the device for the push notifications. So it can get this notification token and store it back to the HCPMS. So simply let me show you how this works. Here you can see my device. I hope nobody calls me in that moment. And this is the application I have developed for this webinar. It's really a simple one. So it's rolling. You can enable or disable a passcode for it. I used the login plugins. You can also disable or enable it. For the first time you register, you need to enter, of course, your credentials, which I have already did, and to register with the platform. So I'm unlocking the application because I haven't set passcode. Okay. I hope everything will work fine, although I tested 2-3 times, but on the live demo we never know. So it's now loading the data. Yes, here it is. The data is loaded. If I click somewhere, it will open the details, right? Great. So how to do push notifications? There is a REST API done for that, as we already talked about it. And you can just use your HTTPS hosting port and then REST notification registration. In this case, I want to send a push notifications only to this registration. How you get these registrations is simply going to a certain application and checking registration, and here you can see the registration ID. So simply going there, typing registration, because I want to send the push notification to this registration. And here I'm sending alert, hello world, and some other data like sounds and so on. Here I'm pushing send, and here check this one. Okay, I got an alert on my device. Even if I'm not in the application itself, here let's see, I'm out of it, and I'm clicking send, and you can see on top. I'm not sure if you can see it, but an application came, push notification came here, hello world, test data. And when I click to it, it goes to the application itself and shows me the pop-up in here. Here I've prepared also another one. It's by a user. Here REST notification application. It's on the user and it's my user. And the same thing, when I press it, it will pop up a notification. So we ran out of time, and just to finish the the slides. Here you can find that link on the bottom. You can find 10 multiple choice questions which you need to answer if you are interested in your certificate for this webinar. And that's pretty much it. I tried to cover pretty much a lot of things, but really 1 hour is not that much for to cover so much topics in the mobile world. But thanks anyway for hearing me 1 hour, and I hope you enjoyed that webinar. Thank you very much.